Am I recording? Dude, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. Hi. My name is Elias, and most of you don't know me. But I'm a producer, and I have been producing for the last 10 years. And I've made everything from hip hop, R&B to house, dubstep, drum and bass, and techno. I used to do videos on Instagram, breaking down songs of mine, and a couple people had told me, you should turn this into a series on YouTube, and that was like a year ago. And I'm just now getting around to it. I'm not really big on content. It's not really my thing. But there's no better way to get exposure than to do stuff like this. So if I'm a little awkward for the first couple of videos or every single video, you know why. I'm still getting used to talking to myself or you guys through a screen. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna make this a series, an ongoing series of breaking down my music and letting you guys get a glimpse into my creative process. Um, so we're gonna start with my most recent song, "Unstoppable," that is on all platforms. I will be providing links to the songs, well, like my link tree, if you guys want to check out the song. But don't really think of this as a how-to video. It's mainly how I go about things. I've had people tell me that I should be doing how-to videos, but personally, I don't think I know enough to be able to teach somebody. These are just producer logs, I guess you could say. This is the intro.
I don't wanna think about you leaving me. Oh, all I'm thinking about you're staying
For the intro, I have a basic open chord pad stack, which has some effects on the pads. This one is a serum patch from Splice. Mostly all of the patches that I use are from Splice. But here is the main pad. And then we have and then so I really like to stack layers to give more depth and texture. Um so that's mainly what I do for intros is I'll find a couple sounds that I like and piece them together. And then I will spice them up by throwing gross beat or doing some post processing, which mainly isn't a lot. I typically keep the post processing very minimal. Um, like for this for this pad in particular, it's just a high octave pad, but I put gross beat on it just to give more depth to the pad itself. Uh, this one doesn't really have anything else on it. Um, this one I put phaser on to add even more depth to the sound itself. Just playing around with things and seeing what really fits. I mean, that's 99% of my production style is I'll just mess around and find out. Underneath, I have a Reese bass, playing the root notes of the chords. Sometimes I do like to go off of the root notes and just play it by ear and see what my ear likes. Which is a lot of the times this exact um bass fashion. So I know you're probably thinking, well, if this is a dubstep song, why does it have a house intro? And that's because I originally wanted this song to be a house song, but I couldn't figure out for the life of me how to incorporate house. Uh, so I just kind of stuck with the house intro and threw a dubstep drop in it. So I guess you could consider it like a house fusion. It was a throwaway that I thought I was never gonna work on again. And I had a real bad creative block one day, and I was like, you know what? Let me go see what some throwaways are. And I stumbled across this, and here we are. For the build, I have a saw Reese, just a change in bass to add some tension. With a vocal chop to add more tension. With a riser filler. Tease of the drop bass, super small, just so the listener knows what's coming next. Kick build with a riser. And, sweeps and crashes. The drop, and I used bro step bass and like a laser bass as like an accent. Which is a bro step bass. With some tasteful distortion, gross beat for sidechaining. Hear me out, people think I'm crazy for using gross beats as sidechain, but I like how versatile it is, and I like how visual it is. I feel like I can really tweak it to my liking. Like I said, tasteful distortion, some EQ. I didn't use a sub bass here because this bass really covers the whole spectrum of sound. So if you look at the EQ, when I play it, it covers the whole sound spectrum. The second half of the drop, I used a different bro step bass. And the same bass pattern, just dropping these two notes an octave lower. Using the same gun bass with this bass. With the gun bass underneath that. And some basic dubstep drums. With a hi-hat loop to beef up the drums. Also using the same chord stack just to give the drop a little more fullness. And using call and response, so if you listen to it, it sounds like the basses are talking to each other.
Nowhere to go. Go.
call and response is a pretty crazy concept to somebody who doesn't know it. I know my first couple of years producing, I really didn't understand it fully myself. Um, but you want to think about having your sounds communicate, having it like a conversation. I know it sounds crazy, and you probably think I'm crazy because you probably never heard this before. It's mainly producer talk. Um, but yeah, call and response played a big part in this drop and a big part in a lot of my drops. Now we're coming to the bridge, which the only thing I added was this, which is panning. I have an automation pan, which is really one of those things that you would only hear if you have speakers or headphones. I have gross beat with a 1/2 gate fade out, and the rest of the stack is pretty basic. Um, I have the same open chords and the vocal. The only thing that I don't have is the drums. The second build is super bare bones as well. I made a vocal stack, which is funny because this vocal isn't necessarily a part of the same vocals from the whole song. Nobody knows, but they're not in the same key. This one is in E flat minor, and this one's in D sharp minor, which are technically the same key, relative keys. But they, in terms of like continuity, they don't really match up, which is funny because nobody's picked up on it. I think that's kind of hilarious.
We are unstoppable. I think I lose control. We are unstoppable. Stop, 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 stop.
I just took off that tail end where she says stop, stop, stop. So now we're at the second drop and the end of the song, so I'll play it. So that was the second drop, which is a culmination of the first drop, the first and second half. The arrangement is a little crazy. I have a lot. It kind of sounds like there's a lot going on, but it's mainly just a bunch of call and response. I rearranged the basses to make it seem like they're actually talking to each other, having a conversation, and keeping the same open pads, the drums, and the hi-hat loop. Uh I also didn't know how to end this song, so I just kind of had a reverb and delay throw at the end on the vocal, and that's the song. And that was Unstoppable. Definitely one of my favorite songs that I've made so far. I've always wanted to venture into dubstep, and this is the first official dubstep song that I've released on my own that isn't a collab. It's up on all platforms. If any of you want to go listen to it, want to go check it out, it would mean the world to me. I'm so sorry for being awkward. I'm not used to recording myself and explaining my thought process behind things, but I feel like I'll get better at this. I'm trying to be as natural and as authentic as possible. But thank you so much for watching. I'm gonna try and turn this into a consistent series. Break down some of my older songs and some of the newer songs that I'm currently working on. So if you want to drop a sub, keep updated. I'll drop my link tree that has my Spotify and Apple Music, as well as my Instagram and TikTok. If you want to drop me a follow, that would be great. And thank you so much for watching. It's been your friendly neighborhood producer, Elias. Thanks for hanging out.